He's sitting 2 feet away from you. You ask him to grab the trash. He says, "Yeah, in a sec." 20 minutes later, it's still sitting there. You sigh, you get up, you take it out yourself. And some part of you thinks, is he just lazy or does he just not care? Here's what almost nobody tells you. He's not lazy. He's not careless. He's just never been triggered. Most relationship advice tells women the same thing. Communicate more. Ask clearly. Tell him exactly what you need. And on paper, that sounds right. But here's the part nobody wants to admit. The more you ask a man to step up, the less natural it feels when he finally does. Because real investment was never supposed to come from a request. It comes from a reflex. Inside every man, there's a switch tied to something researchers call competence-based reward. When a man does something and feels genuinely useful doing it, his brain treats that moment like a win, not a chore, a win. And once that switch gets flipped, you stop having to ask. He starts looking for the next way to be needed. So the question isn't, how do I get him to help more? The question is, how do I flip that switch? There are 4 ways to do it. The 4th one is the one that actually runs the whole system, so stay with me. Trigger 1. Leave space. Don't fill it. Picture this. You're carrying 2 bags up the stairs. He's right behind you. Most women, without even thinking, just push through. Knee against the door, shift the bags, get it done. Try this instead. Stop for 1 second at the door. Don't say anything, just pause, like you're deciding what to do next. That tiny gap is enough. His brain doesn't hear a request, it sees an opening. And men move toward openings, not orders. This works because independence isn't the problem, overfunctioning is. If you solve every single thing before he even notices it needs solving, there's nothing left for him to do. You're not weak for pausing. You're just leaving a door open instead of closing it before he gets there. Trigger 2. Notice the small thing, not the big thing. Here's where most people get this backwards. They think appreciation means throwing a parade every time he does something. That's not it. What actually lands is quiet, specific recognition of something small. He puts your phone on the charger without being asked. You don't need a speech. You just look at it, then look at him and say, "You did that without me even saying anything." That's it. 8 words. But what he hears underneath those words is, "You were paying attention. You mattered." Praise everything and it becomes noise he tunes out. Notice one specific thing and it becomes a moment he wants to repeat. Trigger 3. Don't let tension run the room. This one's quieter, but it's doing more work than people realize. A man's instinct to provide and protect is directly tied to how calm he feels around you. Tension, criticism, walking on eggshells, none of that makes him want to step up. It makes him brace. Picture 2 versions of the same evening. In one, you come home stressed, snap about the dishes, and he goes quiet and disappears into his phone. In the other, you come home stressed, take a breath, and just say, "Rough day, give me a minute." Same stress, completely different outcome. In the second version, he's the one who asks if you want him to handle dinner. That's the difference between a man defending himself and a man showing up for you. Calm isn't passive. Calm is what makes room for him to move toward you instead of away. And here's the one that actually runs the whole system. You can do all 3 of the above and still feel like nothing's changing if you skip this last one. This is the part that does most of the work and almost no one talks about it. Trigger 4. Silent standards. Here's what this actually means. It's not about being cold or playing games. It's about what you quietly allow and what you quietly don't. If every single time, no matter what, you handle the dishes yourself, take the trash out yourself, fix the Wi-Fi yourself, there's no standard. There's no signal. He's not choosing to step up because there's never a moment where stepping up was even an option. But the woman who triggers this reflex does something different. She doesn't announce a rule, she just consistently leaves real room, and she responds to what happens in that room. If he steps in, she lets him. If he doesn't, she doesn't chase it, beg for it, or bring it up later as evidence in an argument. She just adjusts quietly in her own behavior. And that's the part that changes everything, because now he's not reacting to a request, he's responding to a pattern. Somewhere underneath the surface, he starts to understand. Being around her, showing up for her, that's just who I get to be here. Not because she demanded it, because her presence made it the natural thing to do. That's the whole engine. Space creates the opening. Recognition rewards the action. Calm makes the action safe. And silent standards are what make all three of those things consistent instead of random. So here's the truth underneath everything we just covered. A man doesn't become more attentive because you asked him to. He becomes more attentive because something about being around you made him want to be that version of himself. And you can't force that with words. You can only build it, one small moment at a time. To be clear, this isn't about doing less out of strategy or playing some kind of game. It's about not doing everything by default, so there's actually something left for him to step into. Try this for 1 week. Don't ask for anything you'd normally ask for. Just leave the space, notice the small thing, stay calm when it counts, and quietly let your standards speak instead of your words. Watch what happens to the version of him that shows up. Now, here's a harder question. What happens when none of this works? When the man in front of you doesn't respond to space, doesn't respond to calm, no matter how consistent you are? That's not a provider reflex problem. That's a different pattern entirely, and it's exactly what we're breaking down next.